The Trump regime is currently engulfed in paranoia. They don't know where to look. Left, right, documents are getting leaked. They are conducting polygraph tests on their own workers and senior staff. They are perp walking people out of the Department of Defense who they're claiming are leakers. They don't know where to look. Who are the leakers, huh? Who's giving everybody the information, huh? This is one of the things that we learned yesterday. Two individuals were perp walked. This is the term that's being used. Perp walked out of the Department of Defense buildings when they were determined to be leakers. These were top DOD officials. Darren Selnick, a Department of Defense Deputy Chief of Staff, was suspended and escorted out of the building by security. They grabbed him by the short and just pushed him out. Dan Caldwell, another top Hegseth advisor, senior advisor to Hegseth, buddies with Hegseth. Apparently, they were leaking information to the press. I'll tell you about what that is in a little bit. Also, Ken Klippenstein's been getting a lot of leaked documents to him. A new Rubio order was leaked to him, directing that the State Department spy on student visa holders and applicants' social media if they have, quote, hostile attitudes towards U.S. citizens or U.S. culture, including government institutions or founding principles, or what? You're going to send them to extermination camps in El Salvador? Is that what Donald Trump meant when he told Nayib Bukele to build 5 more buildings, extermination camp buildings? Here's Kristi Noem recently saying that she's been hunting. She's been cosplay hunting. She's really hunting right now. She's caught 2 DHS employees, she says, leaking information, and she wants the DOJ to criminally prosecute her own staff. Here she is right here.
We have identified 2 leakers of information here at the Department of Homeland Security who have been telling individuals about our operations and putting law enforcement lives in jeopardy. We plan to prosecute these 2 individuals and hold them accountable for what they've done. And we're going to continue to do all that we can to keep America safe.
Also, as Ellen Gilmer reports, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is now warning all her employees that polygraph tests are going to be used to help crack down on the leaks that agency says are foiling immigration raids. All polygraphs must include a question on unauthorized communication with the media and nonprofits. Also, we're learning that those polygraphs are also being administered in the Department of Defense and other agencies, State Department, etc. Can you just imagine working in this deranged work environment right here where you show up and it's like polygraph time? Are you a leaker? Are you a leaker? And meanwhile, the biggest leaker of them all are the leaders. Like you have Hegseth and you have the NSA director, Waltz. You've got, all these people who are on Vance. They're on Signal chats leaking all of this information and about war plans. And here they are going after other people for leaking information to the press. Take a look at this article from Politico. 2 top Pentagon officials placed on leave in leak probe. The disclosure under investigations also include Elon Musk's visit to the Pentagon. Apparently that embarrassed the Department of Defense, so much so that they're perp walking people. By the way, before I read some of this to you, you want to just see Pete Hegseth get dunked in a big bath of water while drinking champagne. I mean, just look how ridiculous it is that this guy's the defense secretary. Here, play this clip.
Down goes Hegseth, Duncan Dad on New Year's Eve. Gunner got it.
By the way, I'm showing you that for no other reason other than to say, how in the hell is this Fox host now the defense secretary? So here's what we're learning. This was reported in Politico, hat tip Dan Lippman, Jack Detch. The Pentagon placed 2 top political appointees under administrative leave on Tuesday after a probe into potential leaks of sensitive information, according to 3 defense officials. Isn't it ironic? Did you catch that? That there are people who are leaking about the potential leakers who were perp walked out of the Defense Department. Dan Caldwell, a senior advisor to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, was escorted out of the Pentagon by security officers and had his building access suspended pending further investigation, said two officials who were granted anonymity to discuss an ongoing probe, in other words, leakers. Darren Selnick, the Pentagon's deputy chief of staff, was also suspended as part of the same probe and escorted out of the building, according to one of the officials. The leaks under investigation include military operational plans for the Panama Canal. In other words, that Hegseth and Trump want to take it over in their military plans to actually engage in a real war with Panama and invade it. A second carrier headed to the Red Sea. Elon Musk's controversial visit to the Pentagon, and pausing the collection of intelligence to Ukraine, the other officials said. I mean, just think that they're hiding that information as well, and now they're attacking people who allegedly leaked that information, that they wanted to hide that they were pausing intelligence to Ukraine and inviting Vladimir Putin to kill innocent Ukrainians. They wanted to hide the fact that Elon Musk was going to go into the Pentagon and get access to sensitive information. And this information got leaked. So now they got to go after the leakers and they got to polygraph everybody who works for them. The suspension comes as the Trump regime seeks to root out leaks, including at the Defense Department. A March memo signed by Hegseth chief of staff asked the Pentagon's director for defense intelligence to look into unauthorized disclosures and approve the use of polygraphs. The Defense Department did not respond to a request for comment. Caldwell, a Marine Corps veteran of the Iraq War who previously worked at the right-leaning Defense Priorities think tank, played a key role in advising the Pentagon on Ukraine. Hegseth, in the now infamous Signal chat with national security leaders that accidentally included a journalist, named Caldwell the Pentagon's primary contact to coordinate U.S. military strikes on Yemen. Selnick earlier this year also performed the duties of the Undersecretary of Defense for Personnel and Readiness. He served in the White House and the Department of Veterans Affairs in the first Trump administration. He's also a former senior advisor to Concerned Veterans for America, which Hegseth used to lead. Caldwell and Selnick did not immediately respond to requests for comment. You see the paranoia just totally setting in right there. You know, going back to that Kristi Noem story for a second, I do want to give you a data point there that I think is important. If you want to know what the right wing is talking about, like with all of Donald Trump's attack on the hostile takeover of the federal government and Medicaid and Trump destroying the economy and his reckless tariff policy, if you even want to call it that. So the right wing is all over this Kristi Noem story, and it's not really getting much attention anywhere else, I guess, other than the MeidasTouch network, where Kristi Noem says two individuals identified for allegedly leaking ICE operation details. And I think it's important because this goes with their tough guy or tough women persona. We're going after these leakers. They're your people. And by the way, just so you all know, I often get asked, hey, Ben, what research tools do you use? It's actually one of our sponsors called Ground News. They have a feature called Blind Spot, where I can see using the Blind Spot feature on Ground News, what are they talking about in the right-wing echo chamber and ecosystem that's really not getting attention elsewhere? So that story on Kristi Noem was being reported there. I found it on Ground News, and it's a research tool that I use. I use their blind spot feature. So if you go to ground.news/MTN or scan the QR code you see here, we're giving our viewers 40% off Ground News Top Tier Vantage Plan, which will get you unlimited access to everything I've shown you here and more. Ground News is subscriber funded, so they don't rely on ads. That could also introduce bias. Subscribing supports our channel and their independent team working to keep the media transparent. One more time, it's ground.news/MTN and get that 40% off Ground News Top Tier Vantage Plan. You also see that QR code ground.news/MTN, and they're our sponsor. Going back to our video right here, I do want to share this with you. I mean, you have Senator Warner of Virginia pointing out that how galling is it that you have people like Tulsi Gabbard and Kristi Noem and Pete Hegseth and all these others saying, if there are leaks, we're going to prosecute you. We're going to give you hell. And then these people are the leakers. Here, watch this. Play this clip.
If this was a one-off, you still wouldn't excuse it. And I can just tell you, Chris, if this had been a military officer or if this had been a CIA case officer who'd made this mistake, they would be fired, no questions asked. And what makes it particularly galling is when the Director of National Intelligence self-righteously tweets 12 days ago, I think it was, anybody leaks, we're going to pursue them to the full extent of the law. Well, does that apply to the leadership that is not ready for prime time? Does that apply that this is going to be just passed by? The damage that's done, you can't rectify this. And again, I go back to the initial point. They didn't have even the common decency to acknowledge, at least publicly, everybody on the Hill, it doesn't matter what your party is saying, holy heck, how did this screw up happen? But they try to think they can just push their way through. This puts American lives at risk and obviously, further destroys our reputation with our partners, which we need. America first doesn't mean America alone, and that's where we're headed, and that will make our country less safe.
And our friend at the MeidasTouch Network, Democratic Congress member Raja Krishnamurthy, I think framed the issue perfectly during one of the congressional hearings that recently took place, where he said, look, you want to know who the leakers are to? It's Hegseth. It's Mike Walls. It's Tulsi Gabbard. And you want to claim that you're not leaking war plans? Let me read them their war plans. Here, play this clip.
Terrorist is at his known location, so should be on time. Also, strike drones launch MQ-9s. MQ-9s is a weapon system, correct?
They are.
Okay. I think applying the executive order as well as the DOD manual to this fact pattern, we clearly have weapon systems that have been identified. That is classified information. Now, the reason why it's important that this information not be disclosed is that we don't want the adversaries to know what's about to happen, right, sir?
Well, I would draw a small distinction there. You referenced and asked if that platform, those two platforms are weapon systems. They are, but those terms are used all across the globe in a lot of contexts. So it's really about how they're used in the context of this particular document. I just want to clarify that the use of those.
I understand. Yeah. In this situation, those are operational details.
They are operational details, but again, as you've quoted the DOD instruction, it's about operations. So as you further go down into what are the operational details, I think as we had a discussion yesterday, the important aspect, I think all of us are very familiar.
This is classified information. This is classified information. It's a weapon system as well as sequence of strikes as well as details about the operations. And so I think that just piggybacking off of what some other members have said, using the DOD's manual as well as the executive order in operation today with the Trump administration, this text message is clearly classified information.
And finally, I just think it's funny here that Jesse Waters talks about how official leaks to reporters happen all the time. Here, play this clip.
Hours ago, Democrats thought they had the scandal of the year, and now it's over. Officials leak to reporters all the time. This time they accidentally leaked to a reporter. It was a mistake. Hopefully it doesn't happen again.
Oh, okay there, Jesse. Interesting to see the Trump regime filled with paranoia right now, engulfed by paranoia. Well, hit subscribe. Let's get to 5 million. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch and help us blow past 1 million followers.